It's your boy Stang 1981. Got another unboxing today. That's my 550X that I'm working on, and got a couple things I want to show. If you've been following on any of my videos, I got a few on this. Been really busy with work and everything else. Haven't had a chance to really get out and fly it yet. So when I last left off on a video for this, I was over on the parts, making it into eventually a 600X, and that's my Talon, and it's 90. And I'm going to go ahead and pause it. I'm going to start on the first unboxing, okay? So, one more time, there's the two I'm going to start on. I'm just going to pick one and just start on it, so hang on just a minute. Alright, so it's been a while. On the last video, I had my car, so go ahead and follow me if you like on that. And as far as everything else, I'm doing things with two hands here, so hang on just a second. I gotta start it. Pause it one more time, hang on. Okay, well, anyway, I did a video, the last one I did, on my car. So, like I said, if you want to follow on that, you can. And that's the products going on with my car soon. So, it's going to be a work in progress kind of thing, so you can just follow along. If I get this to capture me covering it. Can't do the blade, no, I can't do it with one hand here. I usually get lucky and I can do it with one hand and shoot the other. Yeah, it's going to be unedited content, so you guys just have to bear with me on that. So, I got my, let's see, I got the old packing slip. It's going to be a Castle product. There you go. Alright, and I think that's everything. Yep, that's everything for that one. So, I got an arming key, and that's going to go on the frame of my helicopter, and then it's going to go up into the speed control. It's going to be a bypass, and it's just the typical, like, kind of like what you see at like RC meets and stuff, where you have these guys, these little lanyards that hang off the side of the helicopter or airplane. It's so if someone comes over and say I'm getting ready to do something with my helicopter and say I have it all turned on, it will not arm until I take the little key, which will be this little guy here. There's a key connected to the end of the lanyard, and when I go to arm it, I have to pull the key, and the part of this tip comes out with it. Like I said, the whole point of that is so two things. One, I don't harm myself if I forget. It doesn't take the place of actually using safe practice with the helicopter and just do your normal routine of turning it on and off. But in case of an emergency, or in case of me forgetting, if I get in a hurry or something and I forget to turn it off, or I have someone over top of me or something and I fail to get the helicopter booted up and everything, and I don't want someone to, someone gets in front of it at the last second and tries to put their hand in the way. I have that ability of it's not going to arm itself all the way through, so it will not spool the blades up until the key is initially pulled out. So it's just a bypass. You're just bypassing the power. So you're going to bypass part of the power on my speed controller to do so. It's just a signal wire is all it is, and you're bypassing part of it to do so. So when it's armed, the key has to be completely removed, and then when it's engaged, this, the tip of this will be in part with the lanyard, and then there you go. It just arms itself. So like I said, it's just a bypass. So it won't recognize anything until that is put back. Unfortunately, my 90 won't work with that, so that's why I ended up going with this. And I had something else I had in mind all along with the helicopter all together, and that's what this is right here. So that's the first one. So that is an Edge product for Castle. and I'm on my last box. So it's one of those things where they didn't use the arming switch, which is probably a little bit on the older side. But not to say that it's bad. It's just it's older, and I guess maybe they felt like it's not needed for every application. So I checked with them, and they said my Talon 90 doesn't work with or needs a arming lanyard and bypass. So or the arming key. That. I'm going to make this wide enough so I can just slide this little guy right out. Come on. Like I said, it's hard to do this when you got one hand and you're holding your camera or your device in one and you're trying to slide out with the other. There we go. All right. Okay. This is a Phoenix, of course, Edge, as it says, HVF 160. Now, the difference between this guy and this one right here, with the fan option, is this was the one I did in a few unboxings prior to when I had my helicopter on the channel. So I've done several on the channel with my helicopter, but I only talked about one speed controller, and I was going to probably end up doing the 160. Well, here's the 160, and I waited for a deal, found one, and I got a good deal in price on this 160. The reason why I went with the 160 is because this is like the strongest one in Castle's line, and I'm going to flip you around, and really, to be honest, the Talon 90 is newer than the 160. Is probably equivalent to the 160 as far as like pretty much the stats and what it does. The upper hand on the Talon 90 is it has a built-in BEC, which means that if you don't know what that is, it's a battery emitting or a battery eliminating current. And what that does is that allows for a separate amount of initial power to be reserved for your servos and anything other than your speed controller's power of the main power, and powering up everything else but the servos and any extra electronics. So all those extra electronics besides the main power of the speed controller going to just powering the motor, that takes a draw on the speed controller. But then adding a BEC into that built in is actually pretty sweet. And it's the only one that is pretty much recommended for my frame, that would run all the way up to a 700 frame, which in this case I know I'm going probably a lot and going way nuts with the 160, because a 120 is probably more than enough to run this frame and be cool with that. And that also comes, I believe, I think factory with the 600. But the 160 is pretty much your all-around go-to speed controller for anything you want to go. So if you're ever thinking about going stronger or higher, you have that ability, as long as you're doing the proper changing out of the motor and pinion and all those other kind of things. As long as you do it correctly, you can do that. It's a lot of power. It's very, very heavy compared to my Talon box. This probably weighs in it close to, I would say, if I had to guess, probably about, well, it was about 2 pounds, I think with the packing material that I received that in, which is wrapped really good. So thanks, Castle, for wrapping that. Oh, I'm sorry, RC Experts. Didn't come directly from Castle. I excused myself on that. RC Experts, thank you for wrapping that box. I get so many things in all the time. So this came in from Castle, and this didn't. So again, apologies. But RC Experts did a really great job in wrapping my Speedo, and it's really nice. I don't really need to go out of my way. I don't think. I mean, if you want me to open it up, I'm just so you guys can just like see it. But I mean, there's not much to really show. It's just going to be a little. Because I don't know how to really get into. Let's take a look, because you got me sparking my interest now. But here's that. user manual and a few things of what you can and can't do. You got to run it through your computer, of course, and well, booting it up is booting it up, and you got to take your time and do it the right way. Let's see if I can get this out without destroying the box, but I don't know. Let's see if I can get this off. Oop. Will it come out? Will she come loose? Yep, she came loose. Awesome. Alright. So, again, probably weighs in close to about 1.5 pounds with all this plastic on there. So it's probably about a pound, 1.5 pounds with... Yeah, it's probably about 1.5 pounds. It's about 2 pounds when you add the shipping material that it came in, which was nicely packaged. And again, thank you RC Experts for such a great job on that packing job, because it was very cool. Yeah, so not too much in terms of difference in the two speed controllers as far as first appearance, but if you look right there, this thing goes pretty much almost the width of the box. That, and then the wiring is just like, a lot of people have done unboxings of this too. This wire is like no, they use the same size gauge. Actually, they use the same size. So Talon 90 is about as, like they say, it's about as close as you're going to get to the 160 without having the extra. Now, moving forward with the 160, if you plan on doing that, there's no BEC in that. So what that means is you're going to have to run a receiver pack somewhere on your airframe or your airplane or whatever you're running it on. You're going to have a separate battery, like a 7.4, which is a 2-cell, or you can run a 3-cell on an 11.1, and something light, like probably, I don't know, probably like an 1100 or 2000 milliamp, probably, or something like that. I think it's like a 2250, or just something small, about the size of the speed controller itself, and you're going to mount that on the frame, and you're going to have to do a splice in. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to splice in your T connector. So you have a connector coming off of this, like if you whatever you have off the tip of your speed controller, and you would tie that in to running dual batteries, because now you have to run dual batteries and a receiver pack if you decide to choose to run this. As far as I know, that's pretty much what's standard deal on my frame and running that. So if you do more research, you might be able to run just one big large battery, but that has a lot of draw, a lot of amps and a lot of draw, and it takes a lot just to get that running. So like I said, there's a lot of things you can get away with on the Talon 90 that you can't with the 160. However, you got a lot more power going into the 160 in the long run, but it requires more. So you're going to have to put a T connector on it, which is going to be the Y, or some people nickname it the T connector. So you'd have your that's just basically the harness that allows you to go into two batteries. Then you get that idea gone and done. Then you have to then tie in your receiver pack to the T connector through one side of your batteries. And when you do that, that right there will allow enough to pretty much have initial power to run everything else. And when you do that, that then ensures that everything is going to run either through the receiver pack and then through the BEC, because what you're doing is you have a satellite BEC that has to go on the outside of that as well. That comes with the frame. So you'd have a little box that usually would be either on this side or on the other, wherever you mount it, and it looks about to be like this big. It looks about the size of a receiver satellite, maybe a little bigger, and I believe it's like I think it's like 10 volts or amps, whatever it is, but they call it a satellite BEC. It's one where it's optional. You don't have to use that, but then you have to run a speed controller that has a built-in BEC if you don't go that way. Otherwise, that's the way you're going to have to go. You got to go with a receiver pack, satellite BEC on the frame, and then you're going to have to go with a T connector or a Y to wire in your two batteries, because you're going to definitely be going into two batteries if you're going to run a hefty speed controller of that choice. And then you've got, like I said, that's the 160 there, and that's pretty strong. Here's a look at panel. I'm just gonna just move through this, and then you can pause it at the end of me panning out. So there, and I'll bring it in a little bit closer. There you go. Hopefully you got that. There's the side. Here's the other side. And it's definitely a high volt. And like I said, high volt comes with a high, two things, a high price tag and a high cost on just everything, and a high amount of you needing other things, because high volt requires more. The Talon is like the only one I've come across, the 90, that actually is a high voltage setup that does not require anything else, and it can run up to a 700 size frame. From what everybody has told me, and people that have ran this, people have ran this same speed controller in a Goblin, up to, like I said, a 700 size frame, and they have no issues with it whatsoever. So you can probably get away with a lot of things with a Talon. I know Chris Rybert, he actually runs a couple of airframes in helis that are, I think, 700 size. He even did a couple with them. I think he did a mod where he stretched one out. I think it was I forgot which one he did. He did a stretch on one, and he did a flight review and did a nice little flight on it. And that one there, classic example, he ran the Talon 90 on it and got away with it, and ran a single battery on it. But again, the Talon 90 packs a lot of punch. But if you really want to go a step more, you can do this one here. But if you do the 160, you got more stuff you got to get involved with on it. So that's just, you know, saying, you know, you can get away with a lot of things if you want to do that, and when you want to. Again, it's preference. So I hope you guys liked the video. That's pretty much I have right now is the arming key. So arming key. Sorry to flip you around again. The arming key, the 160. I unboxed it for you. There's not too much to show you about the arming key one last time. It's literally a harness and a plug tip on a lanyard, and it bypasses the speed controller, just like I was saying. It doesn't really bypass the speed controller, it bypasses the signal wire going into your gyro. So kind of, in a way, it's going through the speed controller and bypassing part of it to go into the speed controller, into the gyro. It's enabling part of it to work and not allowing the powering up of the blades. That's pretty much an idea of what that does. So guys, I hope you liked it. So all the mess I got on the table now. There's my helicopter one more time. I plan on getting this in the air soon. Please rate, comment, subscribe. Hope you guys liked the video. I know it's a little rough. I know unboxing was a little, you know, took a little bit. Like I said, when you got two hands and you're using one hand to open it up and the other one, you know, it's, like I said, it's going to be raw content. It's going to be unedited. So guys, I hope you liked it, and I hope you catch me on the next one. Thanks for stopping by. Later.